Welcome back to the Resolution Room, where we turn tension into transformation through clarity, connection, and consistency. I'm your host, Dr. Nashay Lowe, and this is a space where we explore what's really underneath the moments that challenge us and how they can lead to something more honest, more human, and more whole. So let's get into it. People often think public speaking is just about confidence, performance, or mastering the perfect inflection, pacing, or stage presence. But the more I speak, the more I learn that speaking is more about alignment. It's about showing up with a message that feels true in your body long before it reaches your audience. And that alignment doesn't come without vulnerability or fear. And it definitely doesn't come from trying to sound like someone else's version of a quote-unquote good speaker. Today, I want to talk about what my voice has taught me and what I've learned from the people listening on the other side. Segment 1. Speaking through fear, not without it. Recently, I pitched for a TEDx talk. And I want to be honest, I was nervous in a way I haven't felt in years. TED Talks require precision. They require structure, a clear arc, and a message that fits inside a tight window with no room for improvisation or wandering or expanding the way that I and a lot of other people do when we're naturally in flow. There's nothing wrong with this, but it is a particular style. So I rehearsed, I refined, I doubted myself, I reworked the script until the last possible moment. And when it was time to present the pitch, not even the full talk, just the pitch, I could feel my heart fighting to outrun me. Not because I wasn't prepared, but because this was a moment where my voice needed to be both sharp and grounded. It needed to be held and released, and disciplined, but still deeply me. And what I learned in this moment is this. Fear doesn't mean you're not ready. Fear means you're stepping into a space where your voice matters. And when I finished, I realized something else. The clarity came after I started speaking, not before. Up until that moment I opened my mouth, my mind just went completely blank of everything I had just practiced. But sometimes your voice doesn't strengthen until it hears itself speak. Segment 2. When representation speaks louder than words. So last November, I gave a talk at Webster University Geneva on the responsibility to protect in relation to international humanitarian law. It was academic, it was global, it was nuanced, but more than anything, it was meaningful. Afterward, a student came up to me. She waited until most people had left the room, and she said to me, seeing someone who looks like you speak up there, it meant more than you know. It made me feel like I belong in spaces like this too. Her voice cracked a little bit when she said it, and I felt it in my chest. Because in that moment, I realized sometimes your voice doesn't just communicate ideas, it reflects possibility. It can become a mirror that shows someone a version of themselves that they hadn't fully claimed yet. I didn't plan that impact. I didn't structure it into my talk. I didn't even know who would be in the audience that day. But that's what speaking does when it's aligned. Your message goes places your words can't predict. It reaches people you didn't know were listening. And it touches something in them that has nothing to do with your outline. And to me, that's the real power of public speaking. Not persuasion, but reflection. And not necessarily influence, but resonance. Segment 3. When delivery becomes the message. So not long ago, I think towards the beginning of this year, in March or so, I facilitated a communication workshop for a group of risk management consultants. So it was a very technical crowd with a background in sales, highly analytical, and people who live in numbers, patterns, and probabilities. So completely not my world. But afterwards, one of the participants emailed me and said, normally these kind of presentations don't resonate with me. They feel cliche or corny, but the way you delivered the material was very grounded, and it actually made the content very relevant. He didn't say I was impressive. He didn't say I was dynamic. He didn't say I was even polished. Hopefully these still ring true. But he did say that I made the material feel more human. And that meant more to me than anything else. Because technique is important, structure is helpful, but humanity is what lands. When people feel seen, they listen differently. When people feel safe, they absorb differently. And when people feel like you're speaking with them, not at them, their walls come down. Public speaking for me is not a performance, it's presence. And it's the transfer of clarity from one person to another in a way that feels alive. There's something else I've learned from being in so many different rooms, both as a speaker and as a listener. So, some of the best speakers I've ever seen are not the most polished ones. They're not the ones with perfectly timed pauses or rehearsed movements. They're the ones who just have the ability to stand up and start talking about what they know, what they've lived, and what they've struggled through or learned along the way. There's a rawness to that, sometimes even a little chaos, but it's human. And that humanity is what makes you lean in. It's what makes you feel like someone is talking to you, not performing at you. That's the kind of speaking I believe in. Because the more polished a talk becomes, the easier it is to lose the person behind the message. But when someone shows up with honesty, with presence, with a real story and a real stake in what they're saying, you feel that and you remember it. I've accepted that my approach may not be for everyone. I'm not interested in delivering a pristine, airbrushed performance. I'm interested in connection. I'm interested in exchange. And I'm interested in weaving practical experience with research and evidence based practices in a way that still feels human. So if you're someone who's drawn to speakers who are real, raw, a little vulnerable, who care more about clarity than choreography, who bring both competence and compassion into the room, then I'm your speaker. Segment 4, when your voice becomes a mirror. All of these moments, the pitch, the lecture in Geneva, the workshop, they helped me understand something I didn't always know about my work. Your voice becomes a mirror when you're not trying to be impressive, only intentional. People don't remember your statistics. They remember how you made them feel seen. They remember the phrase that unlocked something familiar. And they remember the example that gave shape to their own story. Your voice becomes a mirror when it reflects not just your expertise, but your alignment, not just your credentials, but your clarity, and not your performance, but your humanity. And whether you're speaking to a global audience, a classroom, a boardroom, or one person at a time, your voice has the capacity to reveal possibility for them and sometimes for you too. As always, thank you for joining me in the resolution room. If this conversation moved you, challenged you, or gave you something to carry forward, consider supporting the show. You can explore our wearable wisdom collection in our Mind Shop, where each piece is designed to spark reflection and dialogue. You can also join our growing community for behind the scenes conversations, resources, and support of your own journey through tension and transformation. And if you just want to say thank you in a simple way, you can always buy me a coffee. Every gesture helps keep this space going. All the links are in the show notes. And until next time, keep building in the quiet because that's what will carry you forward.